Now, we're going to be building a mini project. And for this project, we're going to call it Student Score Manager. For this project, we're going to be making use of the lists. We're also going to be using the while loop. And finally, we're going to be using the impute function. We're going to be storing the scores in the list. With the while loop, we're going to create a loop that keeps on running until we tell it to stop. And with the impute function, we're going to be collecting scores from the terminal. I'm going to start by creating an empty list. So here I can have scores is equal to an empty list. Now here I'm going to have while true. Now, this is a loop that continues running until we tell it to stop. So I'm going to be prompting the user to provide a score. So here we can have score is equal to, I'm going to have input. And for the prompt, I'm going to have please enter a score. And because we're expecting a numerical value, I'm going to be converting this score to a float. So here I'm going to wrap it inside parentheses. Then I'm going to have floats. Then I'm going to be appending this score into our list. So here we can have scores dot append, and we have score. Now, I'm going to be prompting the user to indicate whether they want to continue or to stop. And I can easily do this by having something like choice is equal to input. And here I'm going to have enter yes to continue or no to stop. I'm going to have this in capital letters. So have yes, and this one in capital letters, we have no. Here I'm going to have if choice is equal to no, then I'm going to break the loop. So have break. If the user enters no, this loop is going to terminate. But if not, the loop continues. Now, at the end of the loop, I may want to print out the scores. So here I can have print scores. Now let's run this program. Here I'm going to have cd document cd Python classes. And here I'll have Python score manager.py and hit enter. Please enter a score. I can enter 20. Enter yes to continue or no to stop. I can enter yes. Enter a score. I'll enter 30. Then if I want to quit, I'm going to enter no, then hit enter. Now let me convert this to integer. So instead of using a float, I'm going to be converting to int. And I'm going to put a colon here and a space. Now let's run the program again. So I'm going to clear this. Then run the program. Please enter a score. I'm going to enter 20. Enter yes to continue or no to stop. So I'm going to enter yes. Please enter a score. I'm going to enter 30. We'll have yes. I'll enter 28. Then if I want to stop, I'll simply enter no. So now we have 20, 30, and 28 as our scores. Now you may want to find out the highest score, you may want to find out the lowest score or the average score. And to do this, we're going to be using the mean and the max function. The mean function allows us to determine the minimum value in a list, while the max function allows us to determine the highest or the maximum value in a list. So I can have something like print. Here I'm going to have lowest score is. Then I'm going to have mean. Inside of the main function, I'm going to provide our list, which is scores. I'm also going to do the same for the maximum score. So we can have print. We can have highest score is. Then here I'm going to have max. Then we'll have scores. So let's run the program one more time. So I'm going to clear. Please enter a score. I'll enter 20. I'll enter yes. Please enter a score. I'll enter 30. I'm going to enter yes. Then let me enter 40. And this time around, I'm going to enter no. So our lowest score is 20, while the highest score is 40. I can as well decide to determine the average. So here we can have average score. But first, I'm going to be determining the length of the list, which is the number of items in the list. So we can have number of scores is equal to len scores. To get the average, I'm going to be summing up the scores and then have them divided by the number of scores. And I'm also going to be using the sum function. So here I can have average is equal to, here I'm going to have sum. Inside of the sum function, I'm going to provide scores. Then I'll have it divided by number of scores. So here we have number of scores. This is going to determine the average score. Now I can now print out the average score. So I can have print average score is. Then I'm going to provide average. So let's run the program one more time. So have enter a score. I'll enter 10. I'll enter yes to continue. I'll enter 20. Enter yes. I'll enter 30. Enter yes. Then finally, I'm going to enter 40 and then no. Lowest score is 10. The highest score is 40. But we'll have a trace back here. And this has to do with the name I provided in the sum function. So I entered score instead of scores. So let's run the program again. So enter score, I'll enter 10. I'll enter yes. Enter score, I'll enter 20. I'll enter yes. Enter score, I'll enter 30. And this time around, I'm going to enter no. Then as you can see, this is the scores. The lowest score is 10, the highest score is 30, and the average score is 20.0.